Hi friends, you are welcome in this video. Friends, in this video we are going to discuss about masterpiece of George Orwell, Animal Farm, and we will talk about the story of Animal Farm, summary of Animal Farm, and the very plot of Animal Farm. Friends, in the previous video we talked about the life story of George Orwell and how he composed this masterpiece Animal Farm, which is published in 1945. Friends, this video is exclusively on the story and plot of Animal Farm. So let's start Animal Farm. Friends, in Animal Farm we find that animals are treated as human beings and a very systematic plot is developed by George Orwell. In the very first chapter, actually there are 10 chapters in this Animal Farm. It is a short novella. Novella is shorter in length in comparison with full length novel, and it is longer to the short story. So it is between short story and full length novel. It is a satire on the politics. Actually this novel is based on the Russian Revolution of 1917, and he derived all the characters from Russian Revolution and how this Russian Revolution has turned into dictatorship. Actually this is the very base of Animal Farm. But how animals behave in this Animal Farm, let's discuss. So friends, let's start with the first chapter. In the first chapter we find that the owner of Manor Farm, that is Mr. Jones, he treats animals badly, and ill treating of these animals resulted into dissatisfaction. And one day what happens, the old major, who is a leader of these animals, makes these animals gather and he addresses them, he gives them the speech. And in this speech he talks about the rights of animals and he talks about the human beings, and according to him human beings are the enemy of animals, and this Mr. Jones has treated them very badly and they need to get free from the clutches of human beings. And for that he addresses the gathering of animals. All the animals gather there and they listen very carefully to the old major, and their old major show them very dream of independence, the dream of free from the clutches of human beings, and they listened it very carefully and they think that we must get out of this mess, we must get rid of the very treatment of Mr. Jones, and so that they gathers there, and he has given them a very beautiful song, The Beasts of England, and he says that this song will increase their courage and it will inspire them all the time. So at the end of this meeting or the very address, they sing, all the animals sing the song Beasts of England, and a new kind of inspiration gets instilled in them, and they got aware of their various rights and their living. So this is the first chapter. In the next chapter we find that after the speech, old major dies after 3 days peacefully, and again these animals gather in the memory of old major, and we find there the rise of Snowball and Napoleon, the two big leaders of animals, and under their guidance all animals revolted against Mr. Jones, and they first cows start to revolt against Mr. Jones and they broke the door of the feed where the feed is stored, and all the animals again got into their contact, and we find the leadership of Snowball and Napoleon. So this is the second chapter, and when Mr. Jones returns in the same chapter to the Manor Farm, he finds that there is something happening in the farm, gets aware of the activities of animals, and he wanted to manipulate the animals further, but this time animals get united and they revolted against Mr. Jones. They defeat Mr. Jones and we find the victory of animals. Now this victory is resulted in a great achievement of animals, and they form their own rules and regulations. So here we find there are 7 commandments, and let me read those 7 commandments. The very first commandment: whatever goes upon 2 legs is an enemy. Number 2, whatever goes upon 4 legs or has wings is a friend. The third commandment: no animal shall wear clothes. Number 4, no animal shall sleep in a bed. Number 5, no animal shall drink alcohol. Number 6, no animal shall kill any other animal. And the last commandment here we have, all animals are equal. And all the animals decides that they should go through these commandments and they should follow these commandments heartily, and grew independent and grew their farm. And in the same chapter they renamed manor farm into animal farm, and they instilled a board at the very entrance of the farm, that is animal farm. In the third chapter we find that the rise of the leadership of Napoleon and Snowball, or the superiority of pigs. Pigs considers themselves as superior to other animals because according to them they have very brain and they can use their brain for the benefit of other animals, and they are declared leaders of the all animals. And there we find they decides to rule the animal farm, and they decides to frame the welfare system for animal farm. So we have another character, that is Boxer. Boxer is a horse and he is known as the hard worker. He works very hard for the welfare of animal farm, and his respect and his reputation is based on his hard work, and he is respected by all animals. And again they moves in the right direction till this time, and they have a very good system generated among them. Snowball is their leader now, and he says that education is very significant for all animals, and he takes the agenda of education, he takes the movement of education, and he wanted to educate all the animals. But Napoleon opposes him in this movement or in this regard. He says that it is not necessary to give education for all animals but only for pigs, because pigs are ruling class. Now we find that the clashes happens between Snowball and Napoleon, and in the fourth chapter we find that the revolution of animal farms spreads to the other farms, the neighboring farms, and they have given the message to other animals that animal farm has been constructed, and there they formed a very good kind of system. And this propaganda goes to the other fields, and animals there in the neighboring farms talk about this animal farm, and also human beings or the owners of those farms. For example, we have Pickington and Frederick, they also talk about this animal farm. So again the owner of manor farm comes back, and again he wanted to recapture this farm, and he wanted to manipulate these animals again, but he gets failed in this attempt. He comes with 4 men and he attacks on the animals, but Snowball has a very fixed kind of strategy, and he forms a strategy to defeat again the Mr. Jones. And with the military strategy of Snowball, animals defeats the very owner of that manor farm. And again from the battlefield the owner of manor farm or Mr. Jones runs away. Find here the very strategy of Snowball and the very hard work or the fighting of Boxer, who is considered or respected for his hard work. So with this victory all the animals hail or they welcome Snowball and Boxer, and they call Snowball as the animal hero first class and Boxer as the animal hero second class. So this is the respect shown by other animals to Snowball and Boxer. Now at this time we find that Snowball is getting popularity among other animals, and Napoleon now getting jealous of the status of Snowball. Now friends, in the next chapter, that is 5th chapter, we find that Napoleon is opposing all the plans of Snowball, and their rivalry grows up, and he wanted to become the only hero, or he wanted to become the only leader on animal farm, and he thinks that there is hurdle in the form of Snowball, and Snowball thinks of the erecting of windmill for the benefit of animal farm and for the welfare of animals. But this plan of windmill is opposed by Napoleon, because Napoleon wanted to become the sole leader of animal farm, and he did not want Snowball to share his position. So he opposes this windmill and says that the windmill is not significant but the food is significant, and all the animals should concentrate on the food and gathering of the food. So there he finds that popularity of Snowball is increasing among these animals, and hence he thinks a strategy, he thinks a plan, and he sends his ferocious dogs to attack the Snowball. And his ferocious dogs, which he trained very skillfully for the attacks, and these dogs went and attacked Snowball, and there is no other option left for the Snowball except leaving the farm, and he disappears from the animal farm, and he disappears from the very place, and we find that there is only one leader remains there in the animal farm, and that is Napoleon. Now the rule of Napoleon is established in the animal farm. Now friends, if you look at these incidents or these events, we find that how in politics some leaders attacks other leaders and how they acquired power. So this is a very fine example of politics, and this example is applicable in all time. Now friends, Napoleon has acquired the power and he declares Snowball as the criminal. He talks against the Snowball and all his plans, and he says that how Snowball is dangerous for the animal farm. And this is the smearing of the image of Snowball here we find. So let's move to the next chapter, that is 6th chapter. In 6th chapter we find that Squealer, one of the propagandist pig of Napoleon, or who always works in the command of Napoleon, says other animals that the project of Windmill is the brainchild of Napoleon, but actually it was the brainchild of Snowball. It was the idea of Snowball that windmill should be erected, but this windmill project has been opposed by Napoleon earlier, but now he says that we should erect the windmill for the benefit of animal farm and for the welfare of animals, and again he gives orders to erect this windmill, and with a very hard work and labor all the animals work to erect the windmill, and the project of windmill gets completed. So this is the achievement of animals, and they think that the labor of animals will be reduced with this installation of the windmill project. But a very bad thing happens meanwhile. In one night a very great storm stuck to their windmill, and their windmill gets destroyed. By this all animals gets disappointed, and in this course of the events Napoleon takes benefit of the destruction of windmill, and he says that it is not the storm which destroyed windmill, but it is the Snowball who destroyed this windmill, and he again spreads wrong message among the animals there regarding Snowball. So this is how politicians exploit the very situation, or how politician takes benefit of every situation, whether it's good or whether it is bad. And this is the very fine example of Napoleon, that he is taking the benefit of a very bad situation of animals and of all the masses living there. So this example we can cite in present condition or present scenario too. So friends, we find that Napoleon is violating all the commandments here. There is one commandment that we should not interfere with the human beings, or no animal should to be friendly with human beings. But here in this chapter we find Napoleon appoints a human being called Mr. Wamper as mediator between human beings and animals for the exchange of business, or he wanted to do business with human beings, which is again opposite to one of the commandments. Now these events lead to the next chapter, that is 7th chapter. In 7th chapter we find that again Napoleon orders to rebuild this windmill, because he says that it is a very significant project for the animal farm, and again all the animals gathers, and again they work very hard, and very excessive labors they do for the project of windmill. Now they think that they are getting exploited by the hands of pigs or by the hands of Napoleon, and there we find the propaganda of Squealer is increasing. He is encouraging animals to work for Napoleon, and he says that Napoleon is the supreme leader and he must obey Napoleon, and whoever goes against Napoleon, he is destroyed on the animal farm. And we find there he sells eggs of some hens, and when these hens revolts against Napoleon kills them. He again sends his ferocious dogs over these hens and they are killed. And Napoleon says that whatever happens bad on the animal farm, it is the result of Snowball's activities. It is the result of Snowball's action. In the 8th chapter we find that all pigs are leading the luxurious life and they are violating all the commandments. Here also they violates the commandment of not drinking alcohol. Actually it was the 5th commandment that no animal shall drink the very alcohol, but they adds two words in this commandment, and they says that no animal should drink alcohol in excess. Now they are violating the very commandments, and we find that how pigs have become the superior, or how they have acquired the power, and they are using this power to manipulate other animals like Mr. Jones. In the next chapter, that is in the 9th chapter, we also find that Napoleon declares Animal Farm as the republic, and he becomes the president of that republic, and all the other pigs are working for Napoleon, and we find that he has contacts with human beings, and now almost all commandments have been violated, and they have their own rule on the animal farm. They have their own system of governance on the animal farm. So this is where we find in the 9th chapter, and in the last chapter we find that almost the old generation animals are extinct, and now they are died, and the new generation of animals coming, and they did not know anything about the revolution or cowshed battle or the windmill battle or anything, and just they are working for Napoleon. And again the era of slavery, again the era of very manipulation of animals, the exploitation of animals came back in the form of the rule of Napoleon, and again these animals are working for Napoleon. And now Napoleon has changed the very name of Animal Farm again into the Manor Farm, and he has instilled the plate of Manor Farm at the gate of this farm. So friends, now Napoleon is behaving like a human being. He is walking on two legs. All the pigs are walking on two legs, which is the very bad symptom, which is the very bad kind of thing for animals. And now they have changed their song also from Beasts of England. Now they are singing that four legs are good and two legs better. So they have this new song for the animals, and they have spread their propaganda among all animals, and all animals are working for Napoleon. And again the Animal Farm has converted into Manor Farm, and Napoleon has become Mr. Jones. So this is all about the story and summary of Animal Farm, and you find how events are leading from one event to the other event. This is the plot of Animal Farm. So friends, thank you very much for watching the complete video. If you have anything query regarding the story or the plot of Animal Farm, please comment me. I will try to answer your comment. So friends, please like this video, share this video among your friends, and subscribe to Literature Simply, and also don't forget to press the bell notification icon for updates.